Hello and welcome to episode 5 of our Wakefield to Knottingley route building series. Today we're going to be finishing off the feeder lines around Knottingley and then joining up some of the other bits of track junctions and stuff where we haven't finished it yet, and seeing what else we've got time for in about 40 minutes or so. At the minute we're at the end of the 1 in 168 that you may remember. I think we laid this in episode 3. We got as far as Knottingley. We're now going to finish it off and go into Knottingley station in episode 5. The terminating point for tracking this initial route is going to be just past Knottingley East Junction, I think. We'll see where the gradient changes are as to how far into that we go. We're just at the end of 1 in 168. We now need to lay 370 metres at 1 in 305 downhill. So remember to change the rules back to what they should be because I've been in a different route. Click on that one there, and it's track concrete 01. We're laying 2 tracks, obviously. Turn off, always make sure you turn off snap to terrain, otherwise you'll end up with track snap to terrain, which is never wise because you'll end up with going all over the place. And we're going on a 305 downhill gradient, so you put your minus first and then a 305, and it'll just add the zeros for you automatically. Never really bother with anything after the decimal point, you don't need to. So it's 370 metres. We're not going to do easements because it's going over junctions and stuff. What we are going to do is going to do some more terrain in front of us because we're on an edge, remember. Now, we can't really do any more than a small block of tiles in terms of terrain because we've got other scenery around from the Wakefield to Knottingley, Manchester to Leeds route. So we're going to make sure, obviously we've got our dem installed already. There's a video already on our channel which you may want to check out that features the dem tutorial, how to actually get it into your game. We've already got it in this game, we've watched that tutorial, let's say, so I'm going to press import. Go to a 5x5 tile area, SRTM, because that's the format of my data, then import terrain data. And that's imported terrain data on 5 tiles by 5 tiles around where we just were. It doesn't cover a massive area to be fair, but it covers this immediate area that we're working in. Now you notice that we've gone slightly underground here. We're just going to flatten out in front of us, once again like we have been doing in the previous episodes, just so that we can see where we need to lay the track at the same level as we're already at, sort of thing. So otherwise it can get really messy. I'm actually going to lower it because we're going downhill at the minute. Put it down to 20 metres rather than 25. So let's just have a look how much we actually laid at this 1 in 305. We need to lay 370 metres worth. So far we've laid 240. So we got 130 left to lay. Track concrete 01, and again we'll just carry on laying. Now there is a curve somewhere around here. Where it curves into Knottingley station. I need to plug in my DVD player so I can actually see the cab ride. So just bear with me, this video will end just for a few seconds and then I'll change. So I've just consulted my DVD and it shows that the track does indeed just, it sort of kinks to the left right as it goes under the bridge as I thought it did. It's a weird little formation actually, sort of goes left then goes right, just to skew the track back into the right direction. So I'll put it onto passenger for now, so I can just do that tighter sort of curve. And we've got 140 metres to layer this, remember. That's going to be obviously the tricky bit here. So we're going to lay 70 metres to there, and then it needs to turn left. 56 metres, we've got 14 metres left to lay. Now I'm going to lay it to there, which is 33 metres, and the reason I'm doing that is so that it's not actually on a junction, because it's never smart to have a gradient change on a junction, especially when it's going from 1 in 305 to level. If it's on the middle of a junction, you're going to find yourself hitting problems. It's not really going to be possible to avoid completely having the gradient change on a junction, but you can sort of put it there and it's going to be mid-bay. Go on, account talk. What's wrong with me today? have it midway between two junctions is where we've got it there, because if you put it on a junction you can't smooth the gradient, and we're going to struggle to smooth that, to be honest, but we'll try our best. Maybe that's going to have to be a little bump in the road sort of thing. So next up we've got 417 metres of level track, so we go back on here, check out all that there, we put 0 in, and then we're going to put this back on passenger. And again, Google have been really helpful by putting the copyright message right down the middle of the track. Really not helpful. And it kinks to the right again. I cannot see what I'm doing here because of this. What a farce. I've over-rotated the curve a little bit there, so I'm just going to take that bit back. We can do this on main line because it's level. No curves on it, I mean. And then we can lower the terrain once again, just so we can see where we're putting the track in front of us. And there we go, we got the curves going through the station now. These are pretty slow speed curves, and there's obviously going to be a lot of point work around those as well. So we just need to check how much we've actually laid of that level track, because I didn't I was too busy concentrating on actually making sure I laid it in the right direction. Then I don't think I've laid enough yet. I'm going to lay 275 and we need to lay 417, so we need to lay another 137. If my maths is correct. So we've got to lay another 137 metres level track. I'm going to have to put it back on passenger here because, as you can see, there's another curve in front of us. It's quite difficult to actually see what I'm doing at the minute because of this bloody copyright message. Oh, I mean, look at the copyright. There's nowhere else on the bloody map. It's right over there, look. It has to go right down where we are. I've over-rotated the curve once again there. So we just need to go back and put this curve in. Main line I'll do this curve actually, to be fair. And this time it's not rotated enough. In fact, I believe if you go to Knottingley on photos and stuff, you can actually see where the summit of this climb is, because it changes here to -1 in 149. So I think you can see on photos at least exactly where this summit is, in which case we'll do that first, then we'll come back. Okay, so I've gone back and looked at some photos on Flickr, and I can see that it's a pretty shallow summit. Even though it goes from level to 1 in 150, it's quite a shallow summit. You don't really see it on photos very easily. Now 65 metres is needed, but because we took 20 off metres, added 20 metres of that, I'm going to take 20 metres off this end. So I'll take it to 45 metres, which is about there. And then we're going to make it -1 in 150, because that's about where the summit is that I can see. Not -50. Oops. And then it's this gradient then for the foreseeable. It's actually this gradient for 2,108 metres, which should be the extent of the track we need to lay, to be honest. So get that there. The hard bit still obviously is line up the straight, but it looks like this time maybe we've actually managed it. Can this curve be super elevated, or is there point work on the end of it? I reckon we can super elevate that curve. Turn easements on, put it to passenger. Do a slight bit of extra straight. And the reason I've done that is so I can cut back there, so that can be the start point for the east section of track with the super elevation activated. So I'm going to set that there, go around the curve. Then watch for it tightening up. Of course, the Google fin's now decided it no longer wants to show. It actually goes to a wider formation. That's interesting. Can't say as I've noticed that before. Maybe I'm just checking the cab video because we might have to take account of that. Yeah, we should probably take account of that. The footbridge has actually got a leg down the middle. That's why it goes wider. Okay, so in that respect, I'm going to abandon the idea of easing that curve. Put it back to one track. What we're going to have to do here now, remember that I laid a little bit of east track, didn't I? Go back here, delete that bit of east track, because otherwise when you've started easing track it'll ask you to keep easing it. So I've got to work out exactly where I started from. It was that bit there. So you've got to go back to before where the east track was. Even if you turn easements off, it'll still ask you to lay with easements because the original track was laid with easements. Lay a bit of straight. And the tracks start come back together once they get to around that area. Because this is the left hand track, we'll use this as the feeder line first. And I'll show why in a minute. I'm going to continue trying to get this around this curve. And then getting it to go down the right part of the straight again. Once again, just cutting bits off until we find the right direction for the straight. See how this does. No, it's going too far to the right slightly. So we just need to cut back again. Then just cut a slight bit off, not much at all. That should hopefully get us to where we want to be with it. No. Maybe there's a bit of a curve somewhere in here. Yeah, it curves slightly left after the footbridge that we're trying to go past up here. So you see where the footbridge is there. I haven't got my cursor on, so you won't see anything. Where the footbridge is here, it curves slightly left after that, so that's why I'm not getting this quite right. So straight until the footbridge. Lower the terrain again. This is where basically the line drops right down towards the river level almost. That's not right, even from right up here I can see that myself. Needs to have a bit of a end on the curve there, then lay it straight to the footbridge. Then go left slightly. There. And then we've got to find out from this now what the angle, where the cut-off point is to get that straight to carry on right to the end of the actual straight, because look, it's too far left. So again, that's definitely looking better this time. would say that now that's acceptable. It's like what, a veil width apart. I think we can still do better though. Just a minor clip again at this end. We're looking better this time. Yeah, that'll do this time. Okay, so we knock that back off then. Because what we've got to do now is got to work out the... got to put the second track on the side there, because we know this is the point where it goes back to being the normal sort of 2-track distance apart. We're just going to lay down the straight until the point where we reach the end, and then we're going to measure how much needs cutting off, because the bottom of that gradient that we've been doing, I believe, is somewhere down the end of the straight. And we're going to make a good job of that track still, because this is hopefully going to be another extension to the route eventually when we get down towards tracks. So let's just uncover the track from beneath the terrain here. This, of course, is Knottingley Depot that we're right next to as well. Or the Forest of Knottingley as it now is. It's taken a sad turn in terms of foliage over the last few years. It's a bit unkempt. So the first thing we're going to do is join these 2 tracks back up. I think that's the most sensible thing to do, because we know we need to do that anyway. So I'm going to change the gradient down here to 150, because we're going to lay back up the straight, put it on concrete, set it to snap to track, take it back to 1 track, passenger, and then we're going to lay back up the straight. And the tracks are now slightly further apart than they normally would be. And then what we'll do is we can now join those 2 quite easily. Just put a minus back on this one. Just checking where our straight started. So our straight ends there where that red triangle is. So we need to stay on here. Then we can just join there. So we've got the straight to where the red triangle is. We know that's where the straight ends. They're not too close together or anything like that. So now what we're doing is we've put that onto a curve where it can be easily connected onto. Because that's what we need to do. We need to connect this bit to that bit to allow us to then have those 2 that bit wider than the standard amount. Now, a lot of route developers, you probably could. Not many people would notice if we didn't bother with this little gap that's a bit wider, but might as well try and do it if we can, and we can, so let's do it. So I'm just going to join these 2 up. All I'm going to do is just going to select to lay from the end of there. I've got snap to track on, set to main line at the minute. We should be fine on main line, so just connect this up. So you can see where the pink lines come up there. That's telling me that's I can actually connect to that piece of track. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to left click when the pink lines are there. That's an acceptable curve, you see. What that's done is it's put this rectangle and square sort of thing above the track. That means there's a set of points there. Now obviously we don't actually want a set of points here, so what we need to do is click the bit that's been added with the buffers where the old bit of track was, and then just delete it. Then you'll get these 2 buffers here appear. And all we're going to do is hit the weld button and weld that gap up. So next up we've got this little siding. If you notice, that itself actually sort of comes closer, goes further away. It's a weird little side in itself. So I'm going to offset that. So I'm going to select the track. I'm going to offset it to start with. And we're just going to set it there. Offset it for that distance, 91 metres. Select the offset tool. 5 metre offset. Track concrete 1. There we go. Then what we're going to do is we're going to lay this bit manually. Now bear in mind we are a little bit out here because of the way train sim is a bit of a git when it comes to spacing, to be honest. that's it, we've just laid that bit there. And what that's done is it's let us just get those two a little bit closer at that point there. We'll start off further apart. And that's the feeder line into Knottingley Depot, and it's also the goods loop. Now there's a crossover we need to put in just down here as well. That's there, look. So let's get that in next before we check the gradient distance down the line. Because we know it's 2,000 whatever metres it was from Knottingley, so we know it's going to be way down the end of that straight before the 1 in 150 ends. So, pardon me, we want to click the crossover button. Click Track Concrete 01. Click Passenger. Where the point motor is there, the white rectangle next to the track, I'm going to select there. I'm going to see what options it's going to give me. Not many because I've got it on the passenger. We'll try yard. See what options it'll give me now. Interesting. That is because, actually looking at it, it's saying that I can only put points into the right. It's not letting me go to the left. So we'll have to do this manually. We've got no other option really. It doesn't matter anyway. All I do is I just right click Track Concrete 01, put it on passenger. There, left click, and then left click again to put a bit of a straight in, as you can see. There, we've put the points in. Now we've got block points again. We covered this in episode 1. All we do when we've got block points is click the split tool, just past the end of the curved inward bits. Left click and it gets rid of the blockage in there, as you can see. All we do then is we just click the weld tool and weld the grey box that appears. And that's put the crossover in for Knottingley East. So we've got that bit of track in there now. Next up we need to check that gradient distance, as I said. So it's a 1 in 150 downhill. It's for 2,105 metres. So it starts here. I believe it's that distance anyway, let's have a look. 2,108 metres it goes for. That's 641, 1,089, 1,686. 2,109 is to there. Again, split the track. And all we're doing then is we're just deleting this last bit because we don't need to lay that at the moment because the gradient changes at that point where we've laid to. However, that's enough feeder track coming into Knottingley because we're only going to be doing the first route to Knottingley, as I said. So we don't need to lay any further than that right now. We'll do that afterwards. We've got a couple of choices now. What do we do next? Do we do more track or do we do signals, or what do we do? I think next up we do track at Crofton Depot because it's back to the logical end of the route, the west end of the route, and we've not done the depot / yard in one of these episodes yet. We've got about 15 minutes left on this episode, I would say. So we got from episode 2 or 3, I think it was, we got this siding in here into Crofton Depot. Again, it's where the Voyagers were originally used for where Voyagers were based and stuff like that. First of all, we can see this little head shunt in here. Now I'm just going to use my cab ride to see how far that actually went, because I'm not sure how far it goes into the trees there. It sort of disappears into the undergrowth and you've got no real idea of how far it actually goes. So we'll find that out and we'll work out how far it is laying. Oh, that was handy. Then in the cab view there's a Grand Central 185 and 180, God, in the loop. So it's hard to tell exactly how far it goes. Doesn't look like it goes right up to the end. It's very hard to see. I would say halfway along or something. But it clearly doesn't get any use. So all we're going to do with this one is just offset it. Click your select tool. Put your terrain back down to the ground. Then just look for where it is. make it a bit more transparent, and we'll just offset it halfway along. And it's track wood 101 that we're going to put in there. Maybe if we put a veils only one on the end of there, we can get rid of the buffers. No, we can't get rid of the buffers. So unfortunately we've got to have buffers on the end of there. I don't see any other way to do it, because every time you do it, you just end up with buffers on the end. So we'll have to have buffers on that. So now we've just got to connect this bit to the main head shunt siding. This bit's on level track, so remember we need to change that to level. If you offset like we did before, offsetting just puts it at the gradient of the main straight or track that you're laying from, that you're offsetting from, so it selects the same gradient as that, basically. Put it onto yard. We're doing wood 101, not concrete 01 mark. Well done. And this is a manual set of points, I believe. There's a ground frame that controls these rather than actual signal box. So we'll put these on manual. Even though in reality they're not controlled by the drive, they're obviously controlled by a shunter. So that's got that one in. Next up we need to get the feeder line in for the depot, which we'll do here. And we'll do that long track for the middle first. What I do with yards such as this is because if you look at them, they all go in the same straight. So I'll get one laid and then I'll offset all the others from that one. That way then I know that they're all straight and they're all on the same trajectory and everything. They're not skewing off at different angles, because that can be really messy if you do that. Carry on around there. Oh. Just going to cut a bit off, and all I'm trying to do here is just make it so I can do the this straight that I was on about right to the end of the yard. Needs a bit more cutting off. Apparently I cut a bit too much off. Always remember when you're laying yards to have the points set to the right style. So here we got to set it to manual junctions to make sure that we get manual points appearing that can be used in free roam scenarios and in normal scenarios, because it's up to this depot staff, not Wakefield signal box, to set these points. We've got a bit under the terrain there, but it's no problem, we can just put it back like that. So this line's going to be our feeder line. Just need to pull it back a little bit if you look for that curve there. And we're going to continue laying this. It's on a level track, is this. And this one line is going to be then our reference line for the whole yard. So that we're not sort of doing it mixed up and jumbled up and bits here and bits there. That's the reference line we've laid. And it'll be a bit of a higher level, I think, or around the same level maybe. Or a little bit lower even than the main line. I suspect in real life that that curve is about the same height as the depot line. In which case I would suspect it climbs slightly out of there. I'm just going to go away and watch a video that I know is on YouTube of this curve to see if I can work it out. Back in a sec. Right, I've been looking at the cab view in YouTube. So I'll actually link that. If I think on, I've linked anyway. No, I'll probably forgot, but I'll link it into the description for people to see which one I was referencing. Sorry if you can hear other noises on my microphone, by the way. Neighbours doing some housework, so you get all those sound effects as you might expect. So what I'm going to do is not to do that. Why did I do that? That's awful. Okay, so I've looked at a CAD video on YouTube. If I think on, I'll put it in the description of the video so you can see where I was looking. But I might have forgot. The track does go up to the same level as this one, so what I need to do is break it there, and then get this up to the same level there. So we'll put a 1 in 200 gradient and try that. Because I'm not going to use the arrows, obviously. As I said before, I don't use the arrows. And take it up to the buffers at the end. There. I'm not going to make sure it's the same height to the centimetre. That'll nearly do it. Now, in this rare exception, what I can do, because it's the end of a track, is I can use the arrows if and only if I cut the track before any other parts of the network can be affected. So basically what I can do is I can cut the track here. And now this section is isolated from that section. So if I move the arrows, it's not going to like corrupt the track right down there or anything. I can go down here and I can just pull this arrow up to the same level, which is 43.72. And all I have to do now is go back here and weld there to fix that. What I want to do is just select that bit as well and then smooth the gradient change off so that it climbs there smoothly, just up to the same level. Remember to change the track back to level track. And then we've got a nice setup here ready to lay Crofton Depot, which I think is going to be episode 6, because episode 5 seems a bit strange to have it right at the end of episode 5, so we'll do it on episode 6, make it the starting point of that. Cheers very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed episode 5. Episode 6, I say, going to cover Crofton Depot, maybe some more signals, we'll see. Don't forget the other videos in this series, they'll go into more detail on some of the aspects we've been covering already. So if you're thinking, oh, how do I smooth a gradient, watch videos 1 and 2, you'll see 1,000 times how to smooth gradients and stuff like that. Again, as I've been saying all along, anything you want me to elaborate on or anything you'd like to see, then do let me know and I'll try and cover it for you. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to check out Tom on twitch.tv/TrainSimTV_Tom. That's on Tuesdays and Saturday nights at 8 PM. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.